everybody, it's me, Laura, and today we're going to be doing another polymer clay miniature, and this time it's about my bees. Okay, so you got to be everything, because just be, right? Anyways, we're going to start creating our little bee. Sorry, I can't help myself. We're going to start creating our little BEEhive miniatures. And right here, as you can tell, I brought in my polymer clay gun, and I'm using one of the middle-sized discs to create this long strand. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this long strand that I've pushed out with my clay gun, and if you want to see how I put that mechanism all together with the caulk gun and everything, there is a polymer clay gun solution video that you can go and check that out to see how I did that, to help you out with your hands if it's really hard to press this stuff out, which it generally is. Anyway, I'm bringing in my clay here, and you could tell I've already started to spiral it up, and then I start to build a little bit of this like cup-like kind of thing. It's almost reminds me of making the little clay pots when I was smaller as a kid. But again, it's just taking this rope and building it up on top of each other and going in smaller and smaller and smaller until you have this little feature that looks exactly like a beehive. Now, once you have this all wrapped up to where you like it, bring your blade in and bring it up off your table, and then come in with either a scissors or a needle tool, and you're going to go towards the bottom third of this little beehive, and you're going to lift up a little section, and then just cut out a little piece of that roping that you had just placed. That's going to be the opening for where your bees might go into the hive. Now, this particular little hive was done on a little tinier of a roping, a circle disc, and putting that little hive together was a little bit difficult. So I decided to go with a little larger opening on a circle disc and with my clay gun, and just see what I could come up with there. And I really liked the little larger kind of roping. It was a little easier to manage. So the first time out, if you're not really sure about polymer clay and you're just beginning, go with the little larger one. Create your spiral like I'm doing right here one more time, and you're going to find you'll probably have a lot more success with just this particular beehive than you did with maybe one of the smaller roping type openings on your clay gun. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and create our little sign for our bee miniature, and there's a lot of fun little bee sayings out, sayings out there, and this one I just loved. It was, you know, be humble, be honest, be all these things, just be, and I absolutely loved it. So I rolled out my white clay here on a number 6 setting on my Atlas pasta machine, and I had a number of these little liquid transfer. I did the liquid transfer thing with my clear transparent clay. That's where this comes in. And I had 2 different, well, actually, there's a third one here. I had a different positioning on this third one, and I wanted to just try them out and see which one would work best for me. I always like to make a backup. When I'm creating these signs, you just don't know how well it's going to come off one way or the other. You might accidentally have one that doesn't look as good as the other, and you're like, okay, or one might have burned or something, heaven forbid, but it can happen. Anyway, at this point I had taken all of my little signs and I had baked them, and so I baked them at 275 degrees for about 7 minutes or so, and in doing so I had this one harder piece. But since it's, you know, I had thinned it out to a number 6 setting on my Atlas pasta machine, this is a pretty thin piece of clay. I'm coming in here then with, really this was stripes done really from my stack, my black and white stack. I took a strip of these and we're going to start creating a little frame around our little signs. And I had enough room here, I thought let's just go ahead and make a checker kind of around each one, and then we'll cut them out a little bit later and decide which one we're going to use. Now I know some of you are going to be so proud of me right now because I'm using my liquid clay. Yes, I'm using my liquid clay on my fresh clay here that has not been baked on my checker part. And just so you know, if you're doing clay to clay, my rule of thumb is clay to clay, use the liquid clay to bind it or to bring it together. If it's clay with something else like wire or rhinestones or whatever, I like to use my Superglue as my epoxy or my glue agent to go in and make sure it's all good. Here I baked up all of my signs and I cut them apart, and I'm taking my scissors in because this has already been nice and baked and everything, and I'm just trimming it up on the back side. Once I have this trimmed up, we're going to put this onto another piece of fresh clay, onto some black, and that black has been rolled out on a number 6 setting yet again. I like to keep it a little bit thin. I don't need to have a terribly thick kind of backing on this. And I'm also bringing in some polymer clay hearts that I've used with my Kemper cutters pre-made ahead of time. If you want to, you can even do like little handmade hearts, but to me I like using my Kempers. It's just kind of fun. Anyways, I'm using my liquid clay. I'm going to put that on the back of my little sign, and then we'll put this down onto that fresh black clay. If I want, you know, sometimes I also bring in just a little bit of super glue, because with this hard piece, I want to go ahead and make sure it stays there and it doesn't move on me. And just that little extra, I'm going to add in the hearts too. But then I'll go ahead and cut this little sign out, and we'll get it all baked up again at another 7 minutes at 275 degrees. Okay, our little sign has been all baked up, and I also made this little glob of black clay, and I embedded a toothpick into this. I want to put our little sign onto a little post. That's what we're going to need for our miniature. So really, I just kind of flattened it really on both sides, so it will attach into our sign nicely. All right, so now we're going to start creating our little bees, and I'm bringing in, this is my white translucent clay rolled up at 7/8 of an inch in diameter into this log. I'm then bringing in my black, and that black was rolled out on a number 2 setting on my Atlas pasta machine. Now right away, I need to let you guys know, this is the method I did not like. In creating these bees, when I did this particular method, the black was thick enough, you know, just as a layer, that it kind of overtook everything, and it kind of, to me, made the overall wing that we're going to create here kind of yucky. I don't know how else to put it. It was not my favorite. And I think also I didn't like the white translucent. I know a lot of people would probably say, oh, that's so great, you're going to use that translucent clay to create the wings. In this case, I really, truly did not like it. And I think part of it was because you really didn't see the distinction between all the little lines, because that white trans was so, when it's baked, it was kind of dulled, muted. And I really need something to pop out. So this is not my favorite way, but I thought I'd put this in here, so if you guys wanted to go ahead and try it, you could. And maybe what you might want to do is make the sheet of black a lot less thick, so maybe go down to a number 4 setting on your Atlas pasta machine. So as you've seen here, I've pretty much rolled out that log and I cut it into 8 sections. I put them all together. This really is kind of the lace cane, if you will. And right here, I'm bringing a little bit of yellow for registration mark. Now, when I did this, I discovered I really did not need that registration mark so much. And in this case too, it was just because you get so tiny, it doesn't matter. You really do. The wing gets so tiny, you really don't need to know or have that registration mark. I think for me, it's become a habit that I create registration marks on almost all my canes. Anyways, I'm going to cut the ends off here, and then once I get these ends cut off, I'll cut just a small section on this, and then I'll reduce it down, and then when I get a little bit of a length and I think that's enough, I might cut part of that off and then finally get down to where my wing was, I know it was under 1/4 of an inch easy. When I did that, then I'll get to the point where I like it, and then I pinch right where the registration mark is. Now, I know for me, that's kind of a nice guide, but you can pinch without that registration mark. All right, now that we have the wing pretty much made, I'm coming back in and I'm going to create my body. So I'm taking a log of yellow and a log of black. I'm going to twist them up, and then I'm going to cut part of that off because I had quite a bit, and I'll twist it up, and then I'll just kind of wrap it around, mess it all up, and then roll it on my my table there, and then start twisting yet again. Now, this method, again, I did not like the body on this. This did not work out the way I had hoped. And as I cut these little pieces, it's almost like when you do this, the yellow gets a little bit muddied because of that black being so strong. So you can do this, and it does work, but it's not my favorite method. With all of this being said, I'm going to take each of those little pieces now, and I'm just kind of turning them into little teardrops, and that will be the main body of our bee. I'll then come in with those little tiny wings and just with my needle tool attach them into the top part of the body. This time around, in doing our little second set of bees, I decided to bring in some white clay. This was about 7/8 of an inch in diameter, and then I rolled out my black clay on a number 4 setting on my Atlas pasta machine. So this sheet of black is a lot thinner, and I loved this so much better. Like a lot, all right? lot. Anyway, I'll take my my scissor and I'll trim up this extra black around here. And once I get this thing trimmed up, I'll then take this log and do the same kind of method I did the first time around, except like I said, this time we have white instead of the translucent, and the black is a thinner sheet of black, and it made a huge difference. It really did. on what it looked like in the end. Because when I reduced this down to just under 1/4 of an inch on that wing, you could see the lines clearly. You know, that white translucent, when you bake it, I mean, it's supposed to be like a clear translucent, but it's also muted when you cut it into just like a little wing, and you don't really see all those lines really well with the black. And that's what I really wanted. I wanted that black line to come through, and it really did in this version. Okay, so the other part of this bee is the body itself, and I'm taking some black here. This was rolled out on a number 5 setting on my Atlas pasta machine, and I'm going to take some yellow. I'm going to roll it out also on a number 5 setting on the Atlas pasta machine, and we're going to create a stack with our black and our yellow. Now, in doing this, because these sheets are so thin, it makes the lines a lot thinner. So I can, once I get my stack of 8, because that's what I'm going to get, I'm going to have 8 layers of this black and yellow. And then once I have my stack, I'll cut a slice, I'll run it through my pasta machine, and I like to run this thing through on a number 4 setting for sure, if I can. So this thing has got to be cut, the stack, the slice that I cut from this should be fairly thin. Don't make it don't make it too thick, because you don't want your lines to get too wavy here, right? And you can tell I had some stuff in my stack. Sorry. Anyways, there we go. Some nice lines. Anyways, once I have that slice, I put that through my pasta machine, like I said, on a number 4 setting to thin out the sheet to one particular thickness. I then take a little black, create that teardrop, and then I'm going to cut a little section of that black and yellow stripes that I've created, and I'll place that over the little body, and this makes the bee look so much better. You'll also notice here I bring in my blade and I cut off half of that teardrop. It makes it easier to make that bee form, and it gives you a little flat area for wherever you want to place that bee on whatever you're planning, you know, whether it's a flower or anything else. Anyway, I did it with a triangular piece here right away. Eventually I got it down to where I liked that, but I wanted those stripes to go a little further. So I made just a clear little, oh, I want to say square. I just cut a little square of that black and yellow and placed it right over the body again. And then of course I came in with my blade and I cut underneath the body anyway, so it worked out pretty good. Okay, now for the look I've been waiting for, right? My black and white wing. And when I placed that into this little yellow and black body, and the lines were pretty much crystal clear as to like, yeah, this is a little tiny bee, and he's got little tiny, oh, I loved him. I was like, I love you. I can't help it. I love these little bees. They're so cute. And for me, when I went ahead and created this little miniature, this was an upgrade for me in how I do my bees. I normally don't usually do them this way. And now I'm like totally like, this is it. This is the thing. This is where I'm going. And I love them. So since I had all these bees, I decided to do a little comparison. I wanted to show you the ones with my little black and white wings, and then the ones with the translucent wings. And you could tell the ones with the translucent, they're muddied. They don't look very good. They're not crystal clear like they're gonna, oh yeah, that's a really cute little bee. No, these don't look good. The ones with the black and white wing kind of a thing and the yellow and black sort of stack body work so much better. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and create some of my little soft petal daisies. I do have a video on this. It's one of my earlier videos, but if you want to go back and check that out, please do. I'm doing these daisies where they're very tiny. So the little yellow core is under 1/4 of an inch. It's maybe what, an 1/8 of an inch, you know, and the same with the little tiny petals that'll come off it. So these daisies are very, very tiny. And I make about 6 of these daisies, and then right from there I just start putting all, I'll bake those at 275 degrees for about 7 minutes. But from here I'm just going to go ahead and let you guys watch my hands talk as I put together one of these daisies. Finally, drum roll please. No. Finally, we're going to get this miniature together. So I'm bringing in some of my scrap clay and I'm just forming it into this little blob on my table. And you're going to have to lift it up with your blade. And I do so here. And then once you have that kind of lifted up, I'll take my green clay, it's leaf green clay, I'll roll that through my Atlas pasta machine on a number 4 setting, and I'll just lay it right over my blob. I'll then cut this thing to form a little bit, and then I'll just kind of fold under the extra pieces on this blob, giving me this little island of green, right? This is my grassy knoll or whatever you want to call it. And wrap that under, form this up really nice, and we'll take our beehives here and we'll put them both down onto this green blob. Once I have that down, this is going to give you an idea formation-wise how it's going to look. When you have that down, I'm going to take some of my 22 gauge green wire, I'm going to cut about 9 pieces or so and start poking them into the areas right around our beehives. At this point, I brought in a toothpick and I stuck it into the back side because we need that for where our sign is going to go. But then I also brought my clay gun back in and I used kind of what I call the hair discs and decided to make some little green grass growing along and around our beehives. This was just an added little feature. I thought it would look really cute. Here I've had the base of this miniature all baked up. So it was at 275 for about 10 to 15 minutes. And my bees have been baked, my flowers have been baked, everything's been baked up. Now it's just a matter of putting it all together. Now I have some of the wires in there already, and I decided to do 2 daisies on my left side, 3 in the middle, and then 1 on the one end. I was going to put a wire piece in the middle, but it interfered with my sign too much. That's something you have to take into consideration. If you've got a sign or something you really want to feature in your miniature and you want some curling wire, sometimes things interfere, and if it interferes too much, you need to find another solution. So instead, for me, I just decided, well, let's go ahead and add in another flower, but have it lowered down into the miniature, so this way then the sign could really show up on the back. Anyway, from here, really guys, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys watch my hands talk as I put this entire miniature together.
dream, believe in strength. Now I'm the only one, only one. I was an ordinary boy until I broke the rules. My life destroyed, my life destroyed. Until I walk awake, scream my mind, I shout, the ground shakes. How much can I take?
All right, so this is the end result of creating my Bee Everything Just Bee miniature design. Please use this for study and reference. And if you like this video, please like, subscribe, and leave me a comment. I'm always wondering what you're thinking. Otherwise, I am sending out my biggest hugs to each of you, and I hope you have a fantastic day.